Padres appear forced into an impossible decision. We got to talk about Robert Suarez and what's going on with the San Diego closer and the changes or implications or whatever you might think also, because this is an interactive. Here at Padres Digest, we like to have a dialogue about what's going on. Thanks for joining, everybody. Christian Pedersen back with another episode. This is the part of the show where I say, can you hit the subscribe button? Because that's just the YouTube stereotypical thing to do. If not, no worries. Robert Suarez, you know him, you love him. And in case you have not been 100% dialed in to, maybe you're somebody that is busy and you live your lives and you're not you don't watch every single game. He is currently, he has 23 saves. He is the MLB leader, but going through a bit of a valley, a struggle, whatever you want to say. Those numbers right there are not good numbers for closers, middle relievers, a cup of coffee call-ups from the mind. No matter what, 4 innings, 12 hits, 9 runs is not fantastic. That's a rough stretch for Suarez, the Padres closer. And I say an impossible decision because right now, we got to talk about where the team is at. And the Padres are kind of stuck somewhere, it seems, between 5 and 7 games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers for first place in the NL West. Now, they are in the wild card. You got to click a couple extra times to get to the wild card standings because they're not really published right now, but they are very much in the wild card hunt. So as is a Padres team that has had some pitching injuries, some hitting slumps, has gotten in this situation where they're close, but not really they're in the they're going to make the playoffs. They're not just necessarily going to have a home game or the easiest route or home advantage or the easiest route to get there, but they are going to make the playoffs should the season end today type vibes. But I mentioned those first two things. We've got pitching injuries. We've got slumping Xanders and other guys. We had to deal with Jason Hayward and Yuli Gurriel and all that. For the Padres getting through all of that, it's been because the bullpen largely has been the stable foundation of just get us to the later innings and this thing's going to hold. If the Padres can't count anymore on their number one dude in the back end of that to close out games, because these are Suarez's stats as of right now. I showed you the previous stretch. This is the whole season. That is not a dude who is uber reliable to close out every single game. And yet he is also somebody who, as I mentioned earlier, is tied for the major league lead in in saves, 23 of them. So that 3.89 ERA stands out quite in contrast from the other two. He's tied with Josh Hader of Houston, and Carlos Estevez from the Royals is third. Both of those guys have ERAs kind of at or below 2. Suarez is closing in on 4. The impossible decision I talk about is, what do you do at this point? Do you say, oh yeah, dude's fine, he's just, every pitcher goes through it, and he's going to be good, so we just keep running him back out there? And what do? Does he blow 2 more and then he's got all of it out of him? Does he blow 1 more and then he's got out of him? Is he just done being if you run him out there and you get 3 more losses in the next 5 outings that he has, could this be a game of numbers and inches that by the end of the season, those 3 losses, you can never fully individually assign that loss on July 7th cost us everything. But do we end up 2 games back of the Giants in the wild card race and miss the playoffs because of this? Or if he just doesn't have it, are we going to leave a closer? We're not going to leave him in there until he blows 10 saves, are we? But at the same time, like I said, he is a guy who you want to believe that he can go there. You also now have to start talking about, well, maybe he still has it, but sometimes you need some sort of a kick, a jolt. Is that putting him on the IL for a 10-day sort of whatever? He's got a tweaky thing, and we rehab, just let him get his head straight. Is that sending him to do some Mr. Miyagi wax on Karate Kid montage of training? Is that sending him, is that demoting him and putting Adrian Morejon out there for 2 saves? Or is it just time to say, hey, look, we didn't use him right. He's whatever. He just might not be, like, let's trade him. I have started to see some tweets coming up about getting him as part of a combo package. And you know what? He's not an unrealistic option there. That's his contract. Right now making 10. He's got player opt-outs available, but he's looking at $8 million for 2 more years. Like, that is, yes, he's 34. And if he is 34 that all of a sudden can't throw a strike anymore to save his life, then nobody's going to want it. I get that. If he couldn't hit if he really truly just can't get another out, then he's not worth any of this. But I don't think that's where we're at. I think that we're at a guy who is going through a bad stretch right now that is probably just in need of things shaking it up a little bit, some sort of change. But you look at that control, you look at that price tag, and I start to then wonder, and I've seen some tweets about this, and this is where I want to hear from you guys. Do we trade him? Does Robert Suarez plus a minor league guy and Brandon Lockridge equal a left fielder or equal a starting pitcher? Or does, I've seen some people say, trade Cease and Suarez, stop trusting these guys, start believing in the numbers, that they're both sub 500, that they both have high ERAs, that they can be packaged, plus a little bit of a sprinkle one other thing in there for a Duran or a Roberts, or we've got plenty of videos on the other end of this spectrum, but none of those videos that I'm talking about all these different guys have I really been considering Suarez as a part of an option. And if you throw Suarez in there, you look at the bullpen that we have, and you probably make a couple cases for, we can try a few different of these guys. We can try a righty-lefty closer thing. I don't think that it'll be the end of the world. I don't think that it'll be all that hard of a transition to find another guy. So I guess drop a comment on it if you think Suarez is tradable. Drop a comment if you think we should keep Suarez running back out there. He's going to be fine. He's going to survive all this. If we get rid of Suarez, who do you want to see replacing him as the closer? Because yes, he is tied for first with Josh Hader in the majors for saves. But what do you, like, that's what I'm saying. This is kind of this is a really hard, impossible decision for the Padres, because you either got to stick with it and keep potentially costing us games as a guy it flames out, or you got to make the tough decision to trade him and watch him flip it back on and go be a lights out closer with somebody. I don't know. It's hard. But when you got a guy like this that is teetering now back and forth, like, I don't know, it gets the balls, it gets the ball rolling. It gets the baseball conversation juices flowing for me in a way that is different than all the other permutations of all the different trades and stuff. At least I have been speaking and thinking about, because like I said, I've just kind of viewed this guy as our lockdown closer, essential part of the formula. So let me know what you think. Like I said at the beginning, if you could hit the subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys soon.